Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody to our program tonight. Folks, we've got a lot to talk about as we normally do. Folks, we've had some earthquakes. Does that surprise anybody? We've had some earthquakes. The largest earthquake tonight is over in the Atlantic Ocean. Let's go over there and take a look at it. I can't show you the earthquake here on my phone, but we're going to talk about it. The earthquake is on the Mid-Atlantic Fault, right directly between the United States and Africa. Right down the Mid-Atlantic Fault, the North Mid-Atlantic Fault, between the United States and Africa. If you look at the United States, you look almost directly at North Carolina. And if you look almost straight east, you're going to see this earthquake. This is a big earthquake, a 6.0 earthquake. Now, what most people don't even realize, because the agency won't talk about it, there were two foreshocks. Prior to the 6.0, there were two foreshocks. One of the foreshocks, folks, was a 5.2. This 5.2 occurred at 1729. That's 5:29 Eastern Time. The other foreshock happened at 5:01 p.m. So we have two earthquakes, okay? One a 5.2 and another 4.8. What happened? Okay? Right after that 5.2 happened, we had the 4.8. Then we had the 6.0 earthquake. The 5.2 is probably, I want to say, 300 miles south of the big 6.0. I'm just saying. Maybe 2,000 miles south of the 6.0. The 4.8 is even further away than that. So we had two foreshocks. A large foreshock 5.2 and a moderate quake. Then the 6.0 hit. After the 6.0 hit, we had another 4.8 earthquake. In this case, this was maybe 100 miles south of the 6.0. Then, if you look perpendicular away from the 4.8 earthquake, we go down to the next earthquake, and this just hit. Okay, this one hit just about 40 minutes ago. This was another 5.0 earthquake. Another 5.0 earthquake. So we've had a total now, folks. We have a total now of 6 earthquakes. A 5.2, a 6.0, and 2 5.0s. 2 5.0s, a 5.2, and the 6.0. Isn't that interesting? 3 large earthquakes, and then we've had the 6.0. Now, all of this energy here came from way down in the South Atlantic. All of this energy came from the South Atlantic. Folks, I'm showing you right now where these earthquakes are, okay? Way over in the mid-North Atlantic, okay? I want to make sure everybody realizes what has just happened, okay? Right there in the mid-Atlantic. That's what's happened. Oh, folks, there's more. We're going to go over here to Montenegro, too far away. But there we had a 5.4 earthquake was in a region where they have a 58,000 person population. 58,000 people live in this area. Folks, guess what? 4,400 people felt this quake. At least that's how many people reported it, quake. It was a large 5.4 in them, as they typically do. Zero earthquake and numerous 4.4. So let's move further east. Okay, I want to show you this. Over here in Tajikistan, quake. Now, talk about anything. Isn't that interesting? This is normally what happens. There are a lot more earthquakes than USGS is even admitting. They're only saying there's 209 earthquakes worldwide. They didn't even. A 4.7 moderate quake, this is 10 kilometers deep. Okay? Eastern China. This is a 4.7 earthquake here. So they've had 2 moderate earthquakes here in China, usually in islands area. Okay? I don't know why there's buffering, but anyway, 2 moderate earthquakes over in China. The Andaman Islands are north of Sumatra, Indonesia. The map here opens up clear islands. Okay? This is another 4.8 moderate. Let me back. We have a lot of quakes here. This is Myanmar, Burma, Vietnam down here. Okay? Seismic activity leaves Indonesia, comes up through this earthquake fault that runs from southern Indonesia all the way northeast up here into Thailand and Burma area. Okay? Yes, occasionally we do have earthquakes here in the Andaman Islands. We haven't had any for a little while. Energy comes from Indonesia and comes up here into Myanmar. Okay? This is the edge of the plate. The edge of the plate comes up here over to the Himalaya Mountains. And the seismic energy leaves that plate, comes over here to the Himalaya Mountains, which is a second plate here. The Himalaya Mountains naturally separate India and they fall from north here. A lot of times. It'll go up here into Tajikistan, Afghanistan, and Uzbekistan here. It crosses over northern Iran and Iraq here, over here to the Caspian Sea. Okay? It leaves this area around where we've had this earthquake in Tajikistan today of 4.4, and it comes over here to the Caspian Sea. Okay? Comes over here to the Caspian Sea. It then moves over here through the Caspian Sea because the plate does not see that sea there. It doesn't even recognize the Caspian Sea. The plate is underneath that body of water. Then it comes over here into Syria and northern Turkey. Okay, right here at the Turkey-Syrian border area. This is why we have so many quakes here. Again, USGS is not saying a darn word about all the quakes here. There are probably 55 quakes by now here in Turkey in the Syria border region. Okay? Further east over here, or further west over here into Turkey, Turkey is getting hammered with small and minor earthquakes all over the region. Okay? Then again, Around this earthquake fault from Turkey and Syria region, the fault drops down here with this earthquake fault coming south of Corsica here. Going south of Corsica. Then it goes through the Mediterranean here. Goes through and under the Mediterranean over here south of Crete, Greece. Then it comes up here to the normal part of Greece here. The main area of Greece, main country of Greece here, north and south. They don't show any earthquakes at all. There are a ton of earthquakes here. We're talking about 25 earthquakes in Greece alone. In Greece alone. And Western Turkey and the area in the northern Turkey area has a bunch of quakes as well. Again, USGS does not want to show this. Heaven forbid they could be honest with everybody. Never happen. That same earthquake fault coming out of Turkey goes south of Crete here and goes up here to the western side of Greece and comes up here into Italy. Comes up here in Italy. And we have a bunch of earthquakes here in southern Italy and central Italy. Okay? Coming up here into the Alps, northern Italy, Germany, Switzerland, and France here have earthquakes. But again, USGS will never talk about it. Over here in the border region between France and Spain, we have a couple earthquakes. Down here in southern Spain, we have a few as well. We go further over here to Gibraltar. Gibraltar's right here. Just to the west of Spain, we have Portugal. Out here in the water, south of Portugal and west of Gibraltar, we have the Azore Islands. We have some earthquakes here, as well as in the Canary Islands as well. Okay? Let's go back eastbound over here. We've talked about all the earthquakes here. Now, I want to show you what is not going on in Indonesia. We have about 30 earthquakes in Indonesia. Notice, however, that the agency is only showing us 2 earthquakes. Okay? This moderate earthquake down here in southeastern Indonesia, Ambon, A-M-B-O-N, Indonesia, we have a 4.3 earthquake. This earthquake is moderately deep, 380 kilometers deep. Okay? This means we're probably going to have another moderate 4.8 earthquake probably sometime in the next 72 hours here. 4.0 to 4.9 earthquakes are all moderate quakes. Indonesia is famous for having moderate earthquakes here. So that's going to continue. Just barely to the northeast of there. Mashohi, Indonesia. This quake is a 4.8 here. 10 kilometers deep, 6.2 miles deep. Okay? But again, USGS will never tell you there's earthquakes here because they won't. Going over here into the Philippines. This is Mindanao Island, Philippines, the largest island in the Philippines. This is the southern Philippines. Just off the northeast coast of Mindanao Island, Philippines, we're still getting hit with earthquakes. Most of these are just small earthquakes, but they're all aftershocks of a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake that hit here nearly 4 months ago. Okay? The area is still getting hit. More earthquakes through central Philippines and up here to Luzon, Philippines. This is the second largest island in the Philippines and it's the most northbound island in the Philippines. Again, USGS is not showing word 1. Nothing. This is Taiwan. Yesterday, off the northeast coast of Taiwan, right up in here, we had another 4.8 earthquake right here. Okay? Just barely on the coast of Taiwan. They're getting hit. Seismic energy is not being shown at all here in the Ryukyu Islands here. The Ryukyu Islands go north of Taiwan here, and you can see the earthquake fault here. The earthquake fault leaves Taiwan and comes up here to southern Japan. Now, I want to show you something else that most people don't even know about. Okay? There's a small little island here. This small little island has a well-known volcano. It's called Suishima volcano. It often erupts a lot. It has been erupting for quite some time now. Suishima, Japan volcano. Okay? I want to come up here to Japan. Up here, just off the coast of Honshu, we've had another very large earthquake. This is a 5.6 earthquake here off the northeast coast of Honshu, Japan. Tokyo is down here to the south. This is Tokyo, Japan down here. People live also up in this area along the coast of Japan. These people also felt the earthquake. Okay? There's probably 100 felt reports here in Japan. The people that live closest to the earthquake, closest to the epicenter, say it was a very strong shaking and it lasted a long time. It lasted a long time. Most people said it lasted almost a full minute. That earthquake was offshore. It was a very strong 5.6 magnitude earthquake. And yet all these people felt it. Said they felt it, but they said it felt like it was a soft quake. And it didn't last very long. One woman said she was asleep in bed and in the bed, she felt a shaking. Other people said it was very light shaking and it was hardly noticeable. Now, that's what happens when you have a large earthquake to the north of you. Okay? Now, this earthquake is offshore. This is 23 kilometers offshore from Honshu, Japan. 44 felt reports from the EMSC. Only 4 felt reports from the USGS. Go figure. Okay? Like I said, the people closest to the epicenter on land said it was sharp, long duration, strong shaking. The further you get away from the earthquake, the less shaking you're going to feel. Now, I have told everybody what my experience was when we were in Salt Lake City, and we had a 5.6 in Salt Lake City. Okay? I told everybody about it. I reported that earthquake as well. Okay? I report all the earthquakes since in the past 5 years. Okay? Tonight, since I've been talking a lot about the Cascadia area, I want to go up and show you this. This is a 1.7 tremor. Okay? Notice where this earthquake is located. Notice that we've been talking about a lot of quakes tremors mostly. Some minor earthquakes have been happening here in the Puget Sound area. Okay. A 1.7 earthquake hit here, a tremor. Okay. They said this was a surface quake, close to the surface. Really? They said 0 kilometers. This case at 0 kilometers northeast of East Renton Highlands, Washington. That surface quake was 25 kilometers deep. 25 kilometers deep. Okay? That's about 20 miles deep. Still, it was a fairly shallow quake, as earthquakes go, in the Puget Sound. Now, folks, just know earthquakes. There are earthquakes all over this area. Earthquakes up here near what they call you. If I went into the PNS, the Pacific Northwest, up here at Friday Harbor, a lot of earthquakes. Okay? All up and down the entire state of Washington, into the state of Oregon, we're having earthquakes. Over here, today, the USGS is not reporting any earthquakes here at Mount Rainier. Why not? A lot of earthquakes have hit. Okay? A lot of earthquakes have hit. They want to tell us about microquakes, but they don't want to tell us about anything else. But they don't even show microquakes here today. We go over here to Mount St. Helens. There's Mount St. Helens south of Mount Rainier. Look at that. Mount St. Helens, looking down from the satellite, it looks like Mount St. Helens, that the summit area looks like the shape of a U. Okay? That's where the volcano erupted. It tore out the northeast corner of the volcano and went across here to that lake here called Spirit Lake. Okay? A lot of lava flowed all over this area. Ash and lava rained down all over Mount St. Helens area. Now, why am I showing all this here with my USGS map? Folks, for right now, I want to get to the most people that I possibly can here. Okay? I wanted to show you this. This is Mount Adams. 5 years ago, when I was showing seismograms, there was a lot of activity at Mount Adams, and there still is. But the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network is not showing any activity at all. Heaven forbid they tell the truth. Heaven forbid the USGS tells the truth. They're not showing any activity at all at Mount Adams, yet there is. Plenty of activity. Okay? Even north of Mount Adams and northeast of Mount St. Helens, we have another volcano here. They say this volcano is basically extinct. I think it's just sleeping. I think it's just sleeping. No one is reporting any activity at all here. Go figure. Okay? I want to take you down to Mount Hood now. Right here. None of these volcanoes are erupting. Mount Rainier and Mount St. Helens have a ton of activity. They're the closest to eruptive status than any of the others. Okay. This is Mount Hood. Notice they're not showing any activity here at Mount Hood. None. Heaven forbid they would show us activity here. There are 2.0 earthquakes hitting here. There is a ton of tremors hitting here. But heaven forbid we know about it. Okay? Heaven forbid we know about it. Now I'm going to back out here, and I'm going back here to the South Pacific. I want to go back here over to New Zealand. Okay? Over here to the South Island of New Zealand. Guess what? USGS is showing a 3.0 earthquake. They're now reporting this as a 2.9 minor earthquake, but this is at least a 3.0 small earthquake. It's over here on the South Island of New Zealand. This area gets hit with 2.9 activity, 2.4, 2.5 activity all the time. All the time. Why is USGS showing the activity now? Inquiring minds want to know. Now I'm going to move up here to the North Island here. Last night I put on this here. See this earthquake fault? Let me take you north and show you where the earthquake fault comes from. I'm taking you up to Tonga. Right up here to the islands of Tonga. Right in this area here. USGS usually shows large earthquakes here and even moderate earthquakes, but they're not showing any. Go figure. But see this earthquake fault that's up here in Tonga? Let me take a little bit further north. This is still Tonga. This is still Tonga. Over here is Samoa. These are the islands of Samoa. Okay? Yes, they do get hit with earthquakes as well. But most of these earthquakes stay in the Tonga area. And over here in Fiji as well. We're all the time talking about earthquakes in Fiji. But this huge earthquake fault that comes down here from Tonga, running all the way down south here, past the Kermadec Islands here. This is the Kermadec Islands here. Okay, we're watching them here. These are bird sanctuaries. No human beings live here in the Kermadec Islands. This fault comes all the way down here. Now, the Kermadec Islands got hit with 7.4, 7.8 activity back about 4 years ago. We spoke about it on the air. But this same major fault line comes down here into New Zealand. Over here, running down the east side of New Zealand. Okay? I'm still pulling it up here. You can see how far distant this earthquake fault goes. It's a very long distant earthquake fault. It runs a long, long ways here. I'm still coming here. Okay? The reason I'm doing this, I want to show you what happens here. Okay? This is a huge subduction area. Okay? The Indo-Australian plate is over here to the east. The Pacific plate is right here. The Pacific plate is subducting under the Indo-Australian plate here. Here in New Zealand. They say within the next 50 years, and I talked about this last night, they're now saying within the next 50 years, there's going to be an 8.0 earthquake here. They had an 8.0 earthquake in the I believe it was 1891. The last 8.0 earthquake happened down here in 1891. But this is just the western side, the southwestern side of the subduction zone. Okay? I wanted to show you that tremor or that small minor earthquake. Okay, I'm saying small minor because it was on the border area, 2.9, 3.0, and I believe it was more as a 3.0, maybe even 3.2 when it hit than they're showing here. But this magnitude of earthquakes happens all the time here in New Zealand, on the South Island and the North Island, and USGS is not even showing the other earthquakes here. There are about 12 earthquakes here in New Zealand today. USGS shows a tremor. Way to go, USGS. You show tremors. They show tremors up in Washington at the volcanoes when there's actual earthquakes hitting there. Okay? Now, just briefly, I'm going over here to the Aleutian Islands. Right up here. This earthquake appears to be larger than the others, so we'll start here. This is approximately 240 miles or 249 kilometers west of Atka, Alaska. This is a minor 2.6 earthquake. Let's look at these others, okay? This is labeled minus 0.2. I wonder what's happening. Can you guess what's happening here? There just happens to be a volcano here. Okay? This earthquake is allegedly above sea level. Minus numbers are being shown as above sea level here. Okay? This is a minus 0.2 allegedly. Okay? Right near a volcano. This area out here in the Bering Sea here, they also show as a 0.2. Again, that allegedly is supposed to be above sea level, but it's under the sea. It's underwater here. I wanted to show you the difference. Again, USGS can't make up its mind where it's at. Okay? Are they in the sea, below the sea, above the sea? I guess USGS just can't figure it out. We continue to go east here, still in the Aleutian Island chain. I want to show you this. Look at this. Right at a volcano. Smack dab in the Aleutian Islands at a volcano. Okay. The largest earthquake here is a minus 0.1. Oh, gee whiz. Again, above sea level. Folks, this is not below sea level. This is nearly 2 miles deep inside the volcano. It's not above sea level at all. South here, on the southern flank of the volcano, the southern side of the volcano, we have another minus 0.1. Allegedly, because it's above sea level. Well, it's not. This earthquake is nearly 2 miles deep as well. Okay? The other one was let's see, this one is 1.8 kilometers deep, which is just almost 2 miles or 1 mile deep. This earthquake here is also 1.8, nearly 1 mile deep. This earthquake over on the northeast shore or east rim of the volcano is a 0.4 tremor, microquake. 0.4 microquake. This quake is also 1.8 kilometers deep, nearly a mile deep. Okay? How can this earthquake here that I'm showing my pointer at, how can that earthquake here possibly be a 1.8 when this earthquake and the other one south of theirs is minus 0.1? They're all the same depth. Again, USGS can't make up its mind what they're going to show us. Okay? Also at a volcano. These other earthquakes are all mostly here in South Alaska. Okay? One tiny tremor here, microquake, way down here in the peninsula of Alaska. Okay? Look where it's at. Okay? Ivanhoe Bay, Alaska. Really? 34 kilometers north of Ivanhoe Bay? Guys, this is at a volcano. This is cotton picking at a volcano. It's maybe north of Ivanhoe Bay. Folks, can you say semi-Sopokinoi volcano? Again, they say this is a 0.3 microquake. This is 18.3 kilometers deep. Okay? At a volcano. It's incredible what they'll say or not say. Look at all these earthquakes here. Now, I want to show you this. This, folks, is also a volcano. You can see it here. We have an earthquake right at the volcano. Okay? USBS is saying this is a 0.3 microquake at near Karluk, Alaska, west of Karluk, Alaska. This is Old Ililama volcano. Old Ililama volcano. Heaven forbid they could actually identify where these earthquakes really are. A microquake at Old, these others south of there, they say this is a surface quake, 0.0 quake. Wrong. This earthquake is below the surface, a half mile deep. Okay? Another 1.3. Okay, we still have this going here. Okay, apparently we're getting smacked around. We're getting buffered heavily. Yes, guys, I'm here. At least I hope you can see me. Hurricane Heather says, I don't want to leave chat. Hurricane Heather, thank you for being here. I appreciate you so much. God bless you. Thank you so much. And you guys have me 5x5. I'm getting buffered here on my monitor. So they're buffering me. Go figure. I'm sorry you guys didn't see what I had to show you. Okay? Going upwards into Denali, Alaska. They're not showing too many earthquakes. Over in Denali, Alaska, just east of Mount McKinley, guess what? We have a 4.0. A 4.0 in the foothills of Mount McKinley in Denali National Park. Go figure. Okay, I just want to show you that. Let me just come here and show you right now, right here. That blue dot there is in the foothills of Mount McKinley. A 4.0 earthquake. This is fairly shallow, but it's like 80 miles deep. 100.9 kilometers deep, about 80 miles deep right there. Okay? Interesting. Okay? I wanted to show you that. It's wild. We don't get 4.0s, and sometimes we don't even get large earthquakes here, very seldom. But today they're showing us a 4.0 over in Denali National Park. Like I said, it doesn't happen very often. I wanted to show you that. Over in north central Alaska, there's a lot more earthquakes. Actually a pretty good swarm of earthquakes. The largest is a 1.4 tremor. Okay? Central Alaska is getting nailed by tremors, probably indicating there's going to be a larger earthquake in central Alaska very soon. Okay? Now, I want to go over to back to the United States. I briefly showed you what USGS is showing us in Washington, and nothing in Oregon. Nothing. Not a freaking thing. Now, Juanito was one of the first people here in this chat, and I appreciate that. Okay? I greatly appreciate that. Juanito is being greeted by Heather. I greatly appreciate that. And NCWQ says, I see nothing but a black screen. I'm not being buffered anymore like I was. Just a minute, I'm getting rid of someone that likes to play around here. He won't be back anytime soon. Guys, thanks for removing his chat from the chat, and I just removed him permanently. So unless he comes back under a different name, he's gone. Thank you, mods. You do a wonderful job, and I love you and appreciate each one of you. You guys are awesome. Rob52 says he can see me clearly. Rob can see clearly now. The rain is gone. He can see all the obstacles in his way. And I better stop there because I'll get in trouble. NCWQ says the rain is here, LOL. Yeah. Just because I said it, right? Yeah. Anyway, guys, over in Idaho again, the same place where we've been having earthquakes over in north central Idaho got hit again. Again, another minor quake, a 2.4 earthquake hit in Smiths Ferry, Idaho. I'm sure there are a lot more earthquakes than just that. Okay? It's only what USGS wants us to see. Today, just east of that, we have a 2.5 in Stanley, Idaho. Stanley, Idaho is just to the west of Challis, Idaho. Challis, Idaho is the western boundary of the Yellowstone magma chamber. That's how close those earthquakes are to the western magma chamber. Somebody the other night asked me, and it might be true, that maybe the magma chamber of the Yellowstone volcano is putting pressure on those faults to the west. That is possible. It is very possible because that magma chamber at the Yellowstone volcano is 11 Grand Canyons in size. It's a huge magma chamber. So that is very possible. Okay? Now, going over towards Yellowstone. Okay? Not in Yellowstone, though. I don't care what USBS has to say, these earthquakes are not in Yellowstone. Okay? They're northeast of Yellowstone. A 1.5 tremor. Northeast, and I'm talking probably 20 miles northeast of Yellowstone Lake. Okay? Just barely northeast of there. Another tremor. Guess where it's at? Hebgen Lake. Hebgen Lake Estates. Now, we talked about Hebgen Lake before. There is a small booming community in Hebgen Lake. There have been a bunch of estate homes that have been built in the Hebgen Lake area, Hebgen Lake Estates. Back in 1959, there were a few cabins, and that's about all. One of the cabins slid off the mountain into Hebgen Lake after the 7.1 earthquake hit. A 7.1 earthquake hit in 1959. I believe it was January 1959. Slid into the lake. And the roadway, the state highway that was running beside the lake, also slid into Hebgen Lake as a result of that major quake. And scientists are now saying that it was maybe an 8.0 earthquake, which is 100 times stronger than the 7.0. Just to let you know. If a 7.0 or an 8.0 hits Hebgen Lake and doesn't activate the Yellowstone volcano, let me tell you, there's going to be a lot more trouble activating the Yellowstone volcano. Okay? Everybody keeps saying, Ron, what's happening with the Yellowstone volcano? Very little. The Yellowstone volcano is getting hit by tremors and microquakes, and that's all. That's all. Even though these earthquakes that we're telling you about are in the Yellowstone magma chamber, there are also other faults that have developed over the years here near Yellowstone, and I'm saying near Yellowstone. But folks, there are no real problems yet in Yellowstone. Okay? I'm just telling you that. By problems, I'm talking good size earthquakes. Good size earthquakes. Okay? Now, I'm going to tell you this so you will know. Anybody who is worried about the Yellowstone volcano, I'm going to tell you when there's going to be a possible eruption at West Yellowstone. When we see multiple, and I'm saying many, 4.5 or larger earthquakes. 4.5 again is a mid-range moderate earthquake. When we have multiple 4.5 or larger earthquakes is when we have to worry about Yellowstone erupting. And those earthquakes will probably be centered around Yellowstone Lake. Fact. So I will keep you up to date on Yellowstone. Okay? If I even think that something's going to happen, I'm going to tell you about it. For those people that have been worried about Yellowstone, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. There are larger areas that are going to erupt, other volcanoes that are going to erupt very soon. There's larger earthquakes in the offing that are going to happen probably sooner than Yellowstone erupts. Okay? Demon Catman is here in the chat, which I greatly appreciate. He's one of my friends, one of my best friends, and I appreciate him very much. One of our mods here. Yellowstone just ticks away. It just ticks over as it vents with geysers. Exactly. The pressure from the magma underneath is heating the groundwater, and it is venting in the form of geysers. As long as that groundwater comes in and is heated up by the magma beneath the ground there, we're going to continue to see geysers as it boils and goes way up into the air. Okay? That's what actually is happening. Now, Ray Spur says Mary Greeley covers Yellowstone. Yes, she does. Mary Greeley is probably smarter, more intelligent, absolutely, and she's more adept at reporting than any USGS scientist there. Okay? There's a man named Palin. Okay? He's been there at the Yellowstone Observatory, Yellowstone Volcanic Observatory, telling us what's going on at Yellowstone. And he tells everybody nothing much is happening. He's right. But most of the time, he's wrong. Most of the time, Mr. Palin is dead wrong. Mary Greeley has it going. Okay? If you want to go over and give Mary Greeley's channel a hug, give her some love over there on her channel, do so. I love Mary Greeley. She helped me establish my channel 5 years ago. She's a very smart woman. Yes, I disagree with her on some things. But when it comes to Yellowstone, she is the expert, regardless of what other scientists are there that are saying. Because those scientists are getting their vibes from politicians to say, oh, don't report anything. It's okay. They don't need to know that information. Yeah. Mary Greeley News is awesome. And I plan on going on over and calling her after this program's over. Mary Greeley's got it going on, guys. She's absolutely the bomb. Okay? But that's what's going over towards Yellowstone. I wanted to let you know what is happening. Okay? In northern Utah. And I just love reporting this. Up in Thatcher, Utah. This is over in the northern part of the Wasatch Fault Zone. The Wasatch Fault Zone that runs from southeastern Idaho all the way down to central Utah. Huge, long fault zone. A fault zone that's going to have a 7.5 earthquake hit it. There are 7 different segments to the Wasatch Fault Zone. Any one segment could have a 7.5 earthquake, or the entire fault zone could be hit at the very same time. I'm just saying. I just want to make sure everybody is aware of it. I want to make sure everyone is aware of it. This is over on the north part. I believe it's probably on the second most north part of the Wasatch Fault segment. There's plenty of earthquakes hitting there. Okay? Plenty of earthquakes hitting there. Now, I want to talk about southwestern Texas now. We're talking about Toya, Texas, Coyanosa, Texas, and Mentone, Texas. There's quite a swarm of earthquakes hitting here. All the earthquakes in southwestern Texas are caused by fracking operations. Fracking operations. There's tremors, 1.5, 1.6 tremors there. There are also 2.0 tremors. Notice how I said also? Okay, I lengthened out the word. That's because there are a bunch of 2.0 tremors earthquakes as well. 2.0 is the bottom of the 2.0, 2.9 minor earthquake area. Okay, it's the lesser of the 2.0, 2.9 earthquakes. Okay, there's a bunch of 2.0 earthquakes hitting this area. Okay, all of these earthquakes are a result of fracking operations. There's probably 100 pumps and jacks. Probably about 100 pumps and jacks all over this area. Every time man drills into the upper magma chambers of a volcano or drills down into the earth to strike oil, guess what? Those man-made drill points, those man-made holes, are man-made earthquake faults. So when the seismic energy comes along and hits it, it fractures the rock in those fault zones, in those holes, causing Earth to move. Sometimes it's major movement. We saw that in southern Texas not long ago in Falls City, where they had a 4.5 earthquake. That's a lot of movement down there. And it's very likely that we'll see a 5.0 earthquake hit again in Texas. We had a 5.0 earthquake hit last year over in northwestern Texas. Okay, it's going to happen again. Northwestern Texas is just as dangerous as anywhere else. And it's because of fracking operations. Okay, just saying. Now, over here in southwestern Texas, we're talking about, shall I say, a dozen earthquakes. A dozen earthquakes is a pretty good swarm, isn't it? Tremors and minor earthquakes all over that area. Okay? From 2.2 to 2.0, 2.5 earthquakes. 2.5, 2.2, 2.0, and a bunch of tremors all over that area. About a dozen earthquakes total. Okay? Texas is getting hit. Okay? Mentone, Coyanosa, Toya, Texas. That whole area is getting hit. Oil and gas fracking is the reason. Okay? Ray Spur says USGS is just plain broke. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. They're broke. They're totally broke. Now, I want to go over to northern Texas. We have a small swarm of earthquakes in northern Texas. A 1.6 in Midland, Texas. A 2.3 in Ackerley, Texas. Again, a minor earthquake. The other one south of there in Midland was just a tremor. Just southeast of there, Stanton, Texas. We've seen multiple earthquakes in Stanton, Texas before, and today we have a 1.6 tremor there. Northeast of there, Big Spring, Texas, and I've driven past Big Spring, Texas before. A 2.4 earthquake there. Northeast of there, Hurkle, Texas. We've also seen a lot of earthquakes, and I'm talking 2.0 and 1.6 tremors even. Hurkle, Texas is a 2.1 minor earthquake there today. Again, that whole area in northern Texas is fracking. all kinds of oil pumps and jacks all over that area. USGS is not showing any earthquakes or tremors in Oklahoma, and that's just a lie. All I can say is that's just a lie. Okay? It's crazy. It's crazy. Now, the only earthquakes that I haven't covered today so far are over in Puerto Rico. Off the northeast shore of Puerto Rico, 39 kilometers offshore, we have a 3.6, and this should probably be said, this is not in the normal fault zone area. This is right smack dab in the Mono-Strait. The Mono-Strait. The Mono-Strait is the body of water that goes between the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. This is in the Mono-Strait, okay? In southwestern Puerto Rico, we're still seeing aftershocks from an 8.0 and an 8.4 earthquake that happened Christmas 4 years ago. Christmas time 4 years ago, December 26th and December 28th, 4 years ago. Today, we have a 1.7 tremor near Parguera, Puerto Rico, southwestern Puerto Rico. Okay? That's what's going on. Now, we're still seeing some minor tremors hitting over in Iceland. Okay? We told you what was going on in Iceland. We're still seeing some tremors, mostly tremors and minor earthquakes, 2.1, 2.2 minor earthquakes over in Iceland, northwest of Grindavik. It's a huge fissure zone. There's a bunch of fissures that opened up. And there's a magma chamber down there that is forcing its way northwest. Okay? That's where these tremors and minor earthquakes are hitting. Like I've said before, there's a huge magma chamber down beneath the Fort Sangay power plant, which is just north of Grindavik. Okay? A huge magma chamber down there, and it's just about maxed out to capacity with the magma that's down there. Now, so far, the magma is staying there. The ground has been forced up by the magma, and as a result, there's been GPS settings that have changed with the magma uplift of the Fort Sangay power plant. Okay? It has risen up. So far, there hasn't been an eruption in Iceland. It's still possible that we may not get an eruption in Iceland. It's possible. It's very likely, but it's possible. You see what I just said? It's very likely it could happen. It's just possible it could happen. I'm being a pessimist here. Will it happen? At some point in time. But I don't think it's likely anytime soon. Now, just as I said that, watch it happen tonight. Okay? Race versus, they don't know what's going on in Iceland. Iceland has USGS scientists. These are not USGS monitors, managers. These are actual seismologists that have gone over to help Iceland at the Iceland University over in Reykjavik. They're calling the shots. They're watching it. They have set seismographs all over that area, from Grindavik, north and west of Grindavik, all along that fissure zone. They've got all kinds of GPS sensors. They have seismographs all over that area. They're watching it. Yes, there are earthquakes there. But so far, nothing has happened. They've gotten lucky. Also, nobody lives in that area yet. Okay? Yet. Hurricane Heather says, I'm 5 by 5 for now, meaning she's understanding what we're saying. It's not getting a ton of buffering. Rob says it's buffering down there in Arizona where he lives. So far, my monitor isn't buffering me here, and I've got a good, strong bandwidth here. I'm paying for it, but I'm getting a good, strong bandwidth, and that's a good thing. Rob, I'm sorry you're getting buffered, my friend. I love you anyway. Yeah, Rob's one of my best friends as well. You all are. All of my mods are wonderful. Anyway, does anybody have any questions before I talk about what I want to talk about next? Does anyone have any questions for me? Big D says, wild watching Matthew 24 in real time. You're right. You're absolutely right. It is wild. Okay? It is really wild. Hurricane Heather says, devotional, please. Yes, I'm going to give a devotional very, very shortly. But I want to talk about something else right now. Okay? If any of you have followed politics here in the United States, the Democrat Party, which I'm going to call the Democrat Communist Party of America, sabotaged the Republican Party 4 years ago. Okay? And after President Biden won the election, the Democrat Party went about destroying the Republican Party. They lied. They put out false documents about President Trump. They put out false information about the president. They put out false information about what happened at the Capitol. Okay? The Democrat Communist Party says there was an insurrection at the Capitol in Washington. Folks, that was not an insurrection. Yes, people came into the Capitol basically invited by the police officers there, the United States Capitol Police. Prior to them being shown into the Capitol, there was somebody that broke a window, and several of the people that had been there at the Capitol building outside protesting what was going on in Washington, D.C., somebody broke a window. A few people went through that window. One woman from San Diego, California, went through that window and got shot by a D.C. police officer, a Capitol police officer. One other Capitol police officer had a heart attack. It was not caused by what happened on that day. Had nothing to do with it. He had a heart attack and he later died. There is video of U.S. Capitol police officers showing the protesters into the Capitol building. They were not protesting. Yes, some of them were waving U.S. flags and the Cardston flag. Yes, they were doing that. Okay? Even one of the leaders of the crowd went into the Senate. He didn't break in. A U.S. Capitol Police officer let him in. There were no politicians there, no senators, no congressmen in the hall there. They knew that there were protesters outside, and the Capitol Police led them out of the Capitol building through tunnels into safe quarters that are beneath the Capitol. Okay? What happened? Tucker Carlson showed a video the last 3 or 4 months. Showed people not protesting, not running, not taking any pictures off the walls or tearing the place down. Nothing happened. And yet the Democrat Communist Party was calling it a protest, an insurrection, and put people in jail. behind bars in federal penitentiary. Put them behind bars in a federal penitentiary. Some of them have been let go. Not all of them. Not all of them have been let go. Tucker Carlson came out with a video. The Senate released the video. United States Senate released a video to Tucker Carlson. Now, let me tell you a little story. Tucker Carlson, about a month or so ago, interviewed the chief of police of the Capitol Police Department. He said that he expected to have protesters at the Capitol building. He asked the Senate the guy in the Senate that's in charge of security for the U.S. Senate. He had to ask that man for permission to bring in the U.S. Capitol Police. That person at the Senate said first he had to call Nancy Pelosi and get permission to have the National Guard in, because the Capitol Police chief said his officers were being overwhelmed outside the Capitol. No one at that time had entered the Capitol at all. But the chief of police wanted assistance from the National Guard. So the master at arms of the Senate called Nancy Pelosi's office. And Nancy Pelosi said, no, it won't look good to have armed soldiers at the Capitol. So she denied the Capitol Police chief authority to bring in the National Guard to help protect the Capitol. So the Democrat Party was the one that was responsible for anyone even entering the Capitol building. And the truth of it's coming out now. Even Miss Cheney, Senator Cheney, she filed false documentation, and she was with the January 6th committee. She filed false documentation, and that is now hitting the fan now. It's all come to roost. Okay? It's all coming to roost. Okay? It's unreal. The Democrat leaders and even Nancy Pelosi, the January 6th committee, lied to the public and lied to the news media. They made a big deal about it. Okay? Sergeant at Arms Raceper says, yes, it was a Senate Sergeant at Arms. So the Capitol Police chief was denied National Guard troops. Well, guess what? There was a National Guard armory right close to the Capitol. Because Nancy Pelosi said no, guess what? Those National Guard troops right near the Capitol were told to stand down, to hold off. There were National Guard troops that came from Maine, all the way from Maine. They got to Washington, D.C. before the guardsmen in D.C. were even allowed to go to the Capitol. And then, to make matters worse, the National Guard troops were not allowed to go to hotels in Washington, but they were told to sleep in underground parking garages where it was cold. They were told to sleep in underground parking garages at the Capitol. Okay? That's how the Democrat Party, the Communist Party of America, treats our National Guard. refusing to bring in the National Guard to help the police department guard the Capitol. Then they turn in false reports saying protesters have busted in, there's an insurrection. That didn't happen. Then to top that off, earlier this week, I believe it was Tuesday, it came out that President Trump wanted to go to the Capitol building and address people at the Capitol before they even entered the Capitol. But Secret Service, the Secret Service man that was attached to President Trump told him, no, you can't go there. You have to go back to the White House. And they ushered him back to the White House. That's what happened. The Democrat Communist Party wants everything to be all rosy for them. Oh, this bad thing happened and all this stuff. The Washington was going to hell. It's not the case. Not the case at all. Okay? It's incredible. Demon Catman says actors in theater. You're right. You're absolutely right. Okay? And these are the people in charge of this country now. That's one reason why every country around the world is being invaded. Yeah. Invaded by illegal aliens. Illegal aliens. Plain and simple. If Biden had toed the mark and kept what Trump had done already at the southern border, none of this would have happened. None of the rest of the countries around the world would have been invaded either. But because of the Democrat Communist Party here in America, guess what happened? All hell broke loose. Other people have talked about it on YouTube. If they take me down, I'll be going to Rumble, guys. If they take this down and take me off the air, we'll be going to Rumble. Look me up on Emergency Management Associates on Rumble. I'm already there. Okay? That's what's happened. Folks, I love you. I care very much for everyone's safety and everyone's well-being. Okay? I care about everyone around the world. I tell it like it is. I do not allow YouTube or anybody else to push me around. They've done it in the past, and that's why I went to YouTube or back to Rumble. Rumble had problems the last time, but I'm going back to Rumble too. At some point in time, I'll be going to Rumble. Promise you. The Reverend Mark is here in the chat. I'm saying, welcome, Reverend Mark. Thank you for being here. He says, welcome to the Rumble family. Thank you. We will be back on Rumble very soon. I'm sure of it. Because of what I've just said. Okay? Okay? I just want to tell you that. Now, I want to go over to Timothy. Earlier today, I was reading in Timothy, and I've talked about the Apostle Paul before. Okay? I've talked about the Apostle Paul a lot. Okay? The Apostle Paul had a lot to say even about our time. Now, yes, the Apostle Paul was talking to his friend Timothy, who Apostle Paul named as his brother. So, Paul was talking to Timothy here. Okay? He says over in chapter 1, verse 5, now the end of the commandment is charity out of the pure heart, and out of good conscience, and of faith unfeigned. In other words, not faked. In verse 8, but we know that the law is good, and if a man use it lawfully. Again, if a man use it lawfully. knowing this, that the law is not made for a righteous man, but for the lawless and the disobedient, for the ungodly and for sinners, for unholy and profane, for murderers of fathers and murderers of mothers, or manslayers. Okay? That's what's going on. It's going on now. I think the apostles saw our day. They spoke of things that are happening in our day as well. Folks, Paul, the apostle, loved all of us, as all the apostles and even Jesus Christ loved us and still love us. Folks, we need to understand where we're coming from and why we're here. We came from heaven. We wanted to come down to earth to gain a body and to be able to have experiences in our body here on earth. And the Lord said, fine, you can come there, but we're asking you to find me. Find the Lord Jesus Christ once you get to earth. So we promised the Lord that we would do that and that we would follow the commandments. That will get us back to heaven. So we were born to goodly families that raised us and brought us up with godly principles in our lives. Most of us, not all of us, most of us. If we obey those commandments, we're going to be able to live with our Father in heaven again. He promised that, and I promise you that as well. But those people that don't do that, they're the ones that have to fear. Those people are the ones that are going to have to fear. Those people that have done what they've done to this country are some of the ones that are going to have to fear. Incredible. Incredible. Anyway, guys, I wanted to share that with you tonight. I found that to be fascinating. I've read it before. I've read the scriptures probably, I want to say 20 times in my life, cover to cover. I love the scriptures. I really do. Folks, we need to be aware of people around us. People around us are going to try to destroy us. And it's not just here in the United States, it's everywhere. Everywhere where there are goodly, honest Christian people, there are others that are going to try to destroy us and to lead us away. I'm asking you, as a disciple of Jesus Christ, as a brother who cares about all of us, I want to ask each one of you to be strong and stand in holy places and follow God. Don't be dissuaded and go off in the other arena. You don't want to go there. You don't want to go there. Brothers and sisters, I love you. And I know I keep saying that, but it's true. It's true. I care. I care about those that care about themselves as well. Those that don't do that, don't care about themselves, are the ones that cause problems. I just made somebody go away. They won't be back. Brothers and sisters, I love you. I hope you have a great night. Tomorrow night we'll talk about emergency preparedness. I was hoping to get to emergency preparedness tonight, but I have to go get some diabetic test strips because I'm completely out. And my car broke down on me. So I'm going to have to beg somebody for a ride to the store to pick up test strips. Folks, I love you. I care about you. Please follow God. please follow God. If anything else happens tonight, I will be back on the air to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. God be with you. May God bless each and every one of you. God's richest blessing on your heads. I hope you have a wonderful night and a better tomorrow. We will be back with you tomorrow evening, same time, same station, probably about 6:15, 6:30, I hope no later. God bless you. God bless NCWQ News and Disaster Explorer. She's gone through a lot. She's going to also have some work done. And she needs our prayers as well. God bless you. God bless us all. We will see you on the other side, everybody. Thank you for being here. Take care. Love each other. We will see you later. Please also share this program far and wide. Your friends, your neighbors, your loved ones, your family, extended family, the people you work with, and even your social media contacts. Share this program far and wide, please. And also, please give us a thumbs up. Thumbs up have been lacking, I've seen lately. So far, I see 13 thumbs up. We probably have more than that, but that's what I see here. Please share, thumbs up this program, share it far and wide. We want people to grow this channel. Please also check your subscriptions. Make sure you're still subscribed to this channel. YouTube has been unsubscribing people right and left. Please subscribe, and when you do that, click on the notification bell. There's a little bell icon. Click on that. A drop-down menu of 3 items will come up. Click on the word ALL. That should get you notified when we come on the air. God be with you. God bless you. We will see you tomorrow. Good night, everybody. Much love.